In the headlines, gunmen shot 4, kidnap other travelers in Niger, Anambra attacks. Police rescue 3 one-chance robbers from jungle justice in Abuja. DSS summons Dangote Nupeng over alleged breach of pact. On the foreign scene, Burkina Faso scraps visa fees for Africans. Hello and welcome to News Update on Trust TV. I am Nimana Bagudu. Now, 2 travelers, Zachary Benjamin and Samaila, have sustained gunshot injuries when bandits opened fire on the commercial vehicle in which they were traveling on Tegina-Kwatangora Road in Niger State. The bandits reportedly fired shots targeting the driver for refusing to stop. The shot, according to sources, hit Zachary Benjamin and Samaila sitting in the front passenger seat. Local sources said the incident happened at Tudunfulani along Kwatangora Tegina Road when the driver of the vehicle maneuvers and zoomed off, leading to the hoodlums firing at the vehicle. The spokesperson for the Niger State Police Command, SP Wasiu Abiodun, confirmed the attack on the commercial vehicle. He said the police, tactical teams and other security agencies mobilized to the scene, while the hoodlums escaped to the forest. Similarly, bandits also reportedly invaded Uzenge and Matachibu in Masuga district of Kontangura local government area on Thursday around 12 midnight and kidnapped 3 people from the 2 villages. Residents of Kontangura, Mariga and Magama local government areas said that bandits have renewed attacks on their communities in the last 2 weeks. Now, 4 persons have been killed while no fewer than 15 others sustained varying degrees of injury in a bloody cult-related clash at a burial ceremony in Ogidi community in Idemili North local government area of Anambra State. Now, according to reports and videos trending on social media, the incident occurred on Thursday at Ezi Village, Ogidi, when the suspected cultists stormed the scene and opened fire indiscriminately on mourners. The clips showed some of the victims battling for their lives at an undisclosed hospital where they were rushed for treatment. Now, confirming the incident, police spokesperson Tochukwu Ikenga said the command has since launched a discreet investigation to identify, trace and arrest the perpetrators. He also preliminary findings suggested that the incident was not unconnected to a clash between rival court groups. Now, residents of a Kekebi community in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State are calling for government intervention after a low-flying helicopter reportedly destroyed homes and caused panic on Wednesday morning. The incident, which occurred between 8 a.m. and 12 noon, left several houses damaged, fences collapsed, and residents in shock. Trust TV's Bello Musa has more.
The unexpected incident created fear and confusion among residents who were left devastated by the damage caused by the helicopter's wind force.
Naji iska yayi yawa, ina daki a kwance, ina fitowa sai.
I ran out to call my mother's brother for help. By the time I returned, the fence of our house has already collapsed. Honestly, we are in a very difficult situation now, and we want the government to assist us cover the damage caused by the helicopter.
Ina fitowa sai na ganta a kwance.
The fence of my house was pulled down by the strong wind from the helicopter. However, we thank God that no one in my household sustained injuries.
What happened was unfortunate. The helicopter's strong wind wreaked havoc on us, but we realized it was security plane. Another resident, Zulaihat Muhammad, said the incident left her frightened and restless.
The incident left us frightened and restless. Up until now, I have not been at peace because of the fear and confusion it caused. The helicopter's wing destroyed our property, so we are appealing to the government to help us.
The village head of KKB East, Salisu Muhammad Chawe, described the incident as disturbing, but explained that inquiries revealed the helicopter was on a security mission. What happened was an unfortunate incident, but the coming of the helicopter is connected to effort to tackle insecurity that has been disturbing our community, especially at night or whenever there is a threat. We are often forced to patrol at night, but the presence of the helicopter shows that the government is aware of our situation here. I contacted security operatives during the incident and was informed that the aircraft was on an official assignment to monitor insecurity in the area, and senior security officers later visited the community to inspect the damage, apologized to residents, and assured those affected of possible assistance. Community leaders confirmed that a Nigerian Air Force team later visited the area but declined to speak to journalists and instead held discussions only with local leaders before leaving. KKB community has suffered repeated attacks by kidnappers in the past, making residents uneasy about the latest development. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Now, 3 suspected one-chance syndicates narrowly escaped being lynched by some mob who descended heavily on them at Chicken Junction, Wuse Abuja on Friday. A witness, Raymond Jonathan, said the incident happened when the 3 suspects inside an unmarked taxi attempted to dispose a female passenger of her belongings inside the car. He said immediately the victim boarded vehicle around the Chicken Junction, one of the suspects tried to force her to submit her phone after they threatened her to reveal her bank account secret code. He said it was on the process the victim raised an alarm which he said attracted the attention of some passerby around the junction who flagged down the vehicle and dragged them out of the car. Now, according to him, the mob immediately started descending on the suspects after the victim had narrated the incident to some passers-by. Jonathan said some police operatives later arrived at the scene on Hilux van and forcefully took away the suspects from the hands of the mob and zoomed off. Now reacting, the spokesperson of the FCT Police Command, SP Ade Josephine, confirmed the incident. She said the police operatives on arriving at the scene promptly rescued and rushed the victims who were still alive to the National Hospital for medical treatment. Now, councillors in Otupo local government area of Benue State have accused the council chairman, Maxwell Ogiri, of suspending legislative activities on what they describe as frivolous grounds. The councillors, led by Leader of the House, Philip Anya, made the allegation in a petition to the Benue State House of Assembly. They claimed the chairman shut down the legislative chamber despite directives from Governor Hyacinth Alia and his deputy to maintain the status quo following the disputed removal of Anya as leader. The local government chairman had, in a letter dated September 8, 2025 and signed by the council secretary Simon Idenyi, directed the councillors to conduct legislative business via social media platforms. However, the councillors condemned the directive, urging the State House of Assembly to wade in by setting up an ad hoc committee to review the dissolved House Standing Committee on Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, which they said had uncovered financial misconduct. They also demanded that the Assembly summon Ogiri to explain his refusal to allow the legislative arm function. Now, across major cities in Nigeria, residential buildings are increasingly being converted into commercial spaces, including schools, offices, and shopping outlets. Now in Abuja, the Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, has issued a directive revoking the allocation of residential houses converted for commercial use in Abuja. This situation is gradually becoming a source of concern as other major cities are reportedly involved. Victoria Tokolo reports from Lagos. In Nigeria's major cities such as Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and beyond, the conversion of residential buildings into commercial spaces has become a growing trend. The surge in demand for offices, schools, shops, and hospitals within residential neighborhoods has fueled this practice. But experts warn that the consequences include structural defects, building collapse, noise pollution, overcrowding, and rising rent costs. To address the issue, the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, has directed property owners to revert such buildings to their original residential use. He warned that by November 1st, any property still in violation will be revoked. In Lagos, residents who spoke to Trust TV expressed support for the government's decision, describing it as a step in the right direction to safeguard lives and promote public safety.
No, government should look into it properly. They should take action in making some inquiries in a way of investigation to find out those who are converting old buildings to other uses without knowing the actual foundation, how well the foundation was, or the kind of soil that they are erecting those new buildings in renovation.
To be a government-defined policy in areas that are residential and the areas that are commercial is the issue of convenience. It's the issue of convenience purely, because it is not ideal that where people are living, you are also using the same place as a commercial purpose. But in terms of any other thing, it borders on government policy. It borders on government policy. It borders on government policy. Just for instance, a place where you are using for school, why will people be living under the building and at the same time you are using the place for building? Look, there are a lot of things you put into consideration. You put the issue of security. You put the issue of environmental safety. Depending on the nature of use, the place is being put for commercial purposes.
What we call physical planning. Do you understand? When you buy a land or when somebody sells a land, it is expected you conduct due diligence. And if you want to renovate the property, it is left for you to invite the town planning people to come and test the soil of the land. If you want to do story building, an expert is needed, such as engineer, surveyor. It is the surveyor that will test the quantity of the land. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that's where an expert comes in. You bring in people from town planning. They will look at the soil. If it's good for whatever purposes they want to use it for, then they will continue with it.
In my own opinion, I think it's right for the government to return those houses back, because people have lack of houses now for rentage. So people need to make it cheaper when they return back when everybody return back. When everybody return back, so they're able to live comfortable, and all these landlords will reduce their rent rates.
This directive also ties back to the federal government's 2005 monetization policy, which sold government houses to individuals to reduce maintenance costs. Officials emphasized that the enforcement will not be limited to Abuja and Lagos alone, but will extend to all urban centers across the country. Now, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who represents Kogi Central, has warned that she will take legal action against the clerk of the National Assembly, Kamaruddin Ogunlana, if she is not allowed to resume her legislative duties on Monday, September 15, 2025. The warning was contained in a letter dated September 10 and signed by her lawyer, Michael Numa. Numa said the clerk's alleged refusal to obey an existing court judgment was against the law and the Code of Conduct for Public Officers. He added that the proposed legal steps could include contempt charges, disciplinary action, and holding the CNA responsible for instigating a breach of the peace. This development follows an earlier letter from the acting clerk to the National Assembly, Yahaya Danzaria, which informed Akpoti-Uduaghan that she could not resume because the matter of her suspension was still before the court. This is News Update on Trust TV, coming up after the break. DSS summons Dangote Nupeng over alleged breach of pact. More news when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the News Update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories once again. Gunmen shot 4, kidnap other travelers in Niger, Anambra attacks. And police rescue 3 one-chance robbers from jungle justice in Abuja. Now, moving on to more stories. An agricultural expert has urged the Nigerian government to adopt policies that will promote Bambara beans as a viable commodity for both local consumption and export. He made the call in Bauchi while speaking to Trust TV on the need to tap into the crops value chain for economic prosperity. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports.
The expert Lowell Masar of Bauchi State Agricultural Development Program highlighted the potentials of Bambara beans, noting that the crop helps rejuvenate soil nutrients while also offering other agricultural benefits.
Bambara nut is one of the crops we produce, particularly in Bauchi State, in the southern part of Bauchi State. Bambara nut is one of the class of the crops, we call them leguminous crops. It is very, very highly nutritious, and it can be of economical value to individual and even the nation at large. Okay, now one of the benefits that you can derive from farming Bambara nut is that one of them is it has a high economic value when you sell it. And also, it is very useful in replenishing the nutrient loss in the soil, especially when the loss is degraded. When you plant Bambara nut, the same family with others like cowpea, groundnut, and beans. That is the soya beans also, because it has a particular structure in the root system, which we call root nodules.
He emphasized that Bambara beans can drive economic sustainability and provide employment opportunities for Nigeria's teeming youth population.
It is highly nutritious. It is containing a lot of vital proteins, which is helpful in making body to grow. We are calling on the policymakers to look at the way of improving it by increasing the training of the essential agents. That is one, to make improvement in the seed production of the Bambara nut, and as well make sure that there are some ways that can be produced to make a, let me put it in this way, increase its value chain.
Meanwhile, farmers in Bauchi and Al-Kaleri local government areas share their experiences, describing Bambara beans as a top choice for profitable farming. A trip to Al-Kaleri reveals that residents are also catching in on the crop's growing popularity. Along the Bauchi-Gombe Road, young women were seen hawking Bambara beans to passengers and commuters. I can even substitute and keep Bambara beans as our staple food in case my food reserve runs out. It is very reliable and easy to prepare, especially when used for making moi moi. We don't have to depend on anyone when Bambara beans are close at hand. We have different types of soil here in Al-Kaleri that are well suited for Bambara cultivation. That is why Al-Kaleri has a natural advantage. when it comes to growing Bambara nuts. Honestly, Bambara beans helps a lot in treating wounds and other ailments. Experts say it also reduces blood pressure and has many medicinal properties. We usually sold it at 350 naira per measure, though the price sometimes changes. But right now, a big tin sells for 800 naira, while the smaller one goes for 400 naira. The expert further stressed that the value chain of Bambara beans cannot be overemphasized, urging government and stakeholders to invest heavily in its production as part of efforts to tackle food insecurity. Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The Department of State Service DSS has summoned the management of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals and the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers (NUPENG) to an emergency meeting following rising tension over an alleged breach of an agreement on workers' right to belong to the union of their choice. The meeting scheduled for on Friday evening will also be attended by representatives of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and other key stakeholders. On September 9, the management of Dangote and NUPENG signed a memorandum of understanding at the DSS headquarters, Abuja, granting workers the freedom to join any union of their choice without interference. The signing was witnessed by officials of the NLC, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria (TUC), government ministers, and other stakeholders. However, less than 24 hours after the signing, NUPENG accused Dangote's management of violating the pact, an allegation the company denied. In a statement jointly signed by NUPENG President Prince Williams Akporeha and General Secretary Afolabi Olawale, the union said Dangote Petroleum Refinery's press release of September 11, 2025 misrepresented facts about its relationship with workers and their freedom to join NUPENG. And now we move to business, where Nigerians' foreign trade in the second quarter of 2025 extended its recovery streak, posting a trade surplus of 7.46 trillion naira, the strongest in nearly 3 years, as exports rose sharply while imports cooled slightly. Now, figures from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) released this week show that total trade stood at 38.03 trillion naira in the second quarter of the year, marking a 20% increase from a year earlier and a 5.6% rise from the previous quarter. Now, exports accounted for 22.75 trillion naira, up 10.5% quarter on quarter, while imports slipped 0.9% to 15.29 trillion naira. Crude oil remained Nigerians' mainstay, with shipments valued at 11.97 trillion naira and accounting for over half of total exports. Yet, crude earnings fell more than 1 trillion naira compared to quarter one. Manufactured goods delivered one of the biggest returns, with exports surging 173% from the first quarter for 803.8 billion naira. Now, agricultural exports, however, slowed from the record highs of its first quarter performance, falling to 1.26 trillion naira. Cashew nuts and cocoa beans dominated, with large consignments heading to Vietnam, India, and the Netherlands. Now, away from Nigeria, the government of Burkina Faso has announced the removal of visa fees for all African nationals as a step to strengthen Pan-African solidarity and encourage the free movement of people and goods. The Minister of Security, Mahamadou Sana, disclosed the policy shift on Thursday after a cabinet meeting presided over by the country's military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore. He, however, clarified that travelers would still be required to submit an online application for approval before entry. Now, citizens of West African countries already travel to Burkina Faso without visas, but the move comes amid uncertainty over the country's status in the economic community of West African states. Now, along with Mali and Niger, Burkina Faso withdrew from the bloc earlier this year, raising concerns about future raising concerns about future travel arrangements within the region. Now, the Sahelian nation now joins Ghana, Rwanda, and Kenya in adopting policies that make travel easier for Africans in line with the African Union's push for greater integration across the continent. With that, we've come to the end of News Update on Trust TV. Do well to follow us on all of our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream to stay informed. I am Nimena Bagudu. Have a good evening.